What's up guys, it's TonesBalones, and if you are familiar with competitive Pokemon, you probably know about the main two formats that people use, either VGC doubles, which changes every season according to Pokemon's official rules, or Smogon singles, which is a community-based rule set where the community members can vote on what kind of changes they want to see in the meta. Both of these formats are incredibly popular for a reason. There's a lot of different strategies that you can use between them, but ultimately every single generation, every rule set is going to have differences that are going to drastically change how people play the game. But this video is not going to be about these competitive formats. It's going to be about one that barely anybody plays anymore, but I think was the most fun format that I've ever played in my entire history of playing competitive Pokemon. Now, a little disclaimer, I was never a professional Pokemon player. I did do a couple streams here and there, and I played a lot in high school when I didn't want to pay attention to my physics teacher. But I do follow the top level a lot, and I hope that I can use it to explain why I think this obscure format is the most fun. I am talking, of course, of Pokemon Let's Go Competitive Singles. Even though this game came out in 2018, which is around the same time that the other games that are extremely popular came out, this game never seemed to shine in the competitive light like the others. Though, of course, this is mostly because it was a spin-off game and a lot of people did not take it seriously because it was geared extremely towards casual players. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the actual rules of this obscure game. All battles are going to be 6 Pokemon each, set at level 50. There are double battles in this game, but it's very underused. After that one rule, nothing else is the same. There are no held items, so no choice band, no leftovers, no nothing. There are no abilities, so a lot of Pokemon who gained a lot of strength through their abilities, they do not have that at all. And there are no EVs. You cannot EV train your Pokemon. Every Pokemon stats are going to be set to whatever value they have. The only thing that can affect the Pokemon stats is the nature and the IVs. And last, all 151 Pokemon are legal, as long as you only have one of each. Oh, and there are Mega Evolutions. And if you're thinking, well, that's a dumb rule, you have to at least ban Mewtwo, don't worry, I'm going to have an entire section about Mewtwo. The rules kind of had to be this way because in the game, there's no good way to actually ban the Pokemon if you are doing random battles. In fact, even doing single battles in the first place is incredibly difficult. You have to go into the menu, click single battles, and you have to type in a room code. Well, there's no actual matchmaking option that has any skill matching whatsoever. So people will just spam Pikachu, 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 and then hope that someone else also spam Pikachu, Pikachu, Pikachu. I don't think there was ever really an official tweet or anything regarding how to actually find people to battle, but it seemed like everyone just came together and had the exact same thought, and the competitive scene bloomed from there. Really quite beautiful. As a consequence of this, we have to go by the rule set that they say, which is any Pokemon is allowed online, which includes Mewtwo and Mew and any other Pokemon that you find OP. So here is the section on Mewtwo that I talked about earlier. Yes, Mewtwo is a meta-defining Pokemon, but I'm kind of glad that he actually exists because it allows us to find creative counters that otherwise would be completely unviable. But before we talk about that, let's go ahead and talk about Mewtwo's strengths, why he's OP. You guys should already know all these answers, but we'll go over them anyway. Mewtwo is a 680 base stat Pokemon, by far the highest in the game. It has a whopping 154 special attack, and a 130 speed stat, meaning there are very few Pokemon that can even outspeed it. And of course, Mewtwo can also Mega Evolve, bringing the base stat to 780, meaning no other Pokemon comes close. This is why when you play online, you will encounter a lot of Mewtwo. So you have two choices. You could either run a Mewtwo yourself, or you can run a team that is dedicated to stop Mewtwo if you see it on the other team. Which, believe it or not, there's a lot of strong counters against Mewtwo. There aren't a lot of dark types in the game, but the ones that do exist are incredibly powerful against Mewtwo, such as Alolan Muck and Mega Gyarados. I honestly don't think these Pokemon would be as good in the meta if it weren't for the fact that they counter Mewtwo so hard. Another way to counter Mewtwo is to run Pokemon that can paralyze it, because a slow Mewtwo is a dead Mewtwo. For this reason, Electro jumps up on the tier list because it is the fastest Pokemon in the game. Or my favorite underrated counter, Mega Beedrill, which has a huge 150 attack stat and outspeeds both forms of Mewtwo. So even though Mewtwo is very prevalent and hard to deal with, there are ways to do it, and I will find myself beating teams that do have a Mewtwo. It is not a guaranteed win button. There is one more meta-defining strategy that I have to talk about here, and it's one that I think is the most interesting, even more interesting than trying to counter Mewtwo. That is, of course, Stealth Rocks, which is the only entry hazard in the entire game. Stealth Rocks was never a necessary entry hazard. It was very good because it counters common Pokemon like Talonflame and Charizard, but you didn't necessarily have to have it on your team. But Let's Go is a little different because in Pokemon Let's Go, there is no Rapid Spin or Defog. If your opponent gets Stealth Rocks up, you are going to have to deal with it for the rest of the game. There is no way around it. Obviously, Stealth Rocks is going to now become an incredibly powerful entry hazard because it deals a lot of damage when you have people switching as much as they do in singles. And also, it completely negates Pokemon that are weak to it, like Charizard. So there's this little mini game inside the actual battle where you are trying to stop your opponent from setting up Stealth Rocks while also trying to set it up yourself. On the bright side, this does bring Aerodactyl into the meta, as no one would ever want to use him if he wasn't a super fast Stealth Rock setter. And one more thing that makes this game really great is how accessible it is to get into the competitive scene. Back in the day when it was possible to match with people at any time of the day, you were able to make a competitive team extremely easily and just jump in so long as you knew what you were doing. And I mean, it was really easy to make a competitive team. You can probably make a competitive team in just a couple of hours, and that means all 6 Pokemon, perfect IVs, perfect everything, level 100, whatever you need, you can get it done in less than a day. In fact, I have an entire team of shinies, and it didn't even take me long to get those. It's basically just a matter of finding the Pokemon, taking it to Cerulean Cave, and beating up a bunch of Chanseys until you get to level 100. Needless to say, I am going to miss this competitive format because there's really nothing like it. Now, it's not dead by any means, it's just a lot harder to find people than it was when the game came out. But if you also miss this format, then please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your stories and your experience with this and whether or not you think it was as great as I do. But that will be it for today's video. I just wanted to reminisce on this format that I don't think gets enough praise. Have a good one.